Hello there. Once again, it is time to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today?
Once again, it's time for Throwback Thursday, a second chance to look at some truly awful podcasts. No, wait, a second chance to see how far Vicis Interimo has come over the last 8 years. New episodes will be released pretty much weekly, but Thursdays I've reserved for throwbacks to see how far we've come. A lot of the information on here no longer applies, whether that be businesses or links that may not work anymore, so be advised of that. But again, I want to thank the patrons that we have at this time, though they may not have been here the first time these episodes were recorded. I am thanking them again because they're helping us move forward with our new episodes. And those are patrons such as At Lonely Bob, Big Al V, and Goldafish. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Welcome to episode 96, Supplemental. This that follows is 20 minutes that was pulled out of the initial episode. Lori went on to ask me some more questions with regards to the movie Mirrors, and after discussing it, we both pretty much decided that the most interesting part of that movie was what was left out. So oftentimes you heard us mention that we were trying to rewrite the story. So if you have an interest in parapsychology and things of that nature, we decided to release this. We thought it might be interesting. I am also going to further note here that this does contain heavy spoiler material. Luckily, Lori had started asking me questions at the end of our review, basically, of Mirrors, or at least where I ended it in the initial episode. But then we went on to talk about other plot points which would be considered spoilers. So another reason to not download this and not listen if you haven't listened to the first half of this, or if you have not seen the movie and plan to. So be aware. The other thing that's contained in this episode is a little bit more information on the documentary Return to Africa's Witch Children. So, I hope you enjoyed this. If you're getting this instead of episode 96, go back and listen to that. Like I said, this is really just some excerpts to that maybe somebody would be interested in listening to. We'll see. Let us know. We kind of saw it in Beetlejuice, didn't we?
In Beetlejuice?
Never mind. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. So, What?
So now I have to ask you one other thing, because I read someone else's review on here that hated the movie, and they hated one thing about it, and I can't find it now. I was looking for it. But something that I had written in my dislike section, I didn't like our main character, our hero, going to a convent and basically kidnapping a nun at gunpoint and dragging her back to this horrible place. That really annoyed me. It really annoyed me a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
And hopefully I don't think we're giving away the big secret there.
I don't think so either.
But I had to bring that up because someone gave it a 1-star on here, and they were like, "Are you kidding me? This guy, why should I like a movie where the main character, he's basically kidnapping nuns at gunpoint?" And they're like, "That was terrible." So I thought that was really funny. I thought it was just me.
That is funny that they kind of latched onto that one thing. I would have found other things to complain about.
No, that was hilarious.
But
I
did have a little bit of a problem. But on the other hand, again, I try to see every side of things. And
times,
exactly.
Desperate measures. Yeah. No, I get that, but
that is a bit far. I think I would draw the line somewhere, and it might be at kidnapping nuns. I don't know. Maybe not. If you were involved and I had to save you, maybe I would. I don't know.
Yes,
Interesting to see.
It's absolutely, it could happen. But I don't know if it was the way that it was done.
It was the way it was presented, I think.
I'm not sure. I think I wanted the nun to go with him, like to step up and go there to help or something. But like I didn't want to see her taken against her will.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because he's like, please, for my family, and he shows her photograph, and these are my children. Look at their faces, and like she didn't even have I don't know. Could he have let her think about it?
Yeah, exactly.
For a minute or two. I mean, I guess he was in a hurry. But so I hope we're not giving away. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think most people have seen this already who are going to. I wouldn't. When it comes down to recommend.
It's not a recommend.
Well, I don't think I would. I'm not so sure I would recommend it. No.
Well,
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's move on. I did have a couple other notes here. Why does nobody ever stop, drop, and roll?
I don't know.
Actually, I'm going to take that back now that I said it. Maybe I'll edit that part.
You remember somebody who's...
No, because I'm thinking about doing stupid things when you're faced with fire, like me trying to blow an oil fire out that I just started in the car. Yeah, I'm going to blow it out with my lungs. That was...
You were trying to blow it out? Oh, my gosh. I'm glad you didn't catch fire. Would you be blowing on it?
Just for a second. Then I ran and got the fire extinguisher, but the first instinct was to try to blow it out.
All right.
It went down for a second, and then it flared up. But anyhow, that was another story for another time. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I do understand why people don't immediately stop, drop, and roll when they are on fire. They maybe run for a few feet before that. Anyhow, if you see the movie, you'll figure out what I'm talking about. Anyhow, aside from that, I would have liked to have known what the runes on his arm were.
What the what?
The runes on his arm. He had some tattoos.
Tattoo,
I wanted to read those, but...
Well.
Anyhow.
Now, I guess just lastly, what did you think of the story when the story was finally revealed and you learned?
Great. Yeah, I had said that before. I liked it. I thought it was good. Yeah, but that would have been that could have been a much shorter, better movie if you had just concentrated on that.
Okay.
It would have been a completely different movie, but I think that would have made a good story.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you not agree? Agree?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have no opinion. I knowing that it was called Mirrors and knowing mirrors are creepy and all this and that, I was really looking forward to seeing how they were going to handle a creepy story where mirrors were involved. So I'm not sure. I almost want to say I was a little disappointed.
Well, okay. It's gonna sound like I'm retracting or going back on what I just said.
Backpedaling.
Splitting it into two stories, the modern day story with the mirrors was okay. But yeah, I wanted more with that. I think they could have explored more and pushed their boundaries a little bit more. And the story could have been better on that end of it. The explanation end of the mirrors and what happened in the past with the mirrors.
Right.
That was good. I dug it. That was fine.
Okay.
So if you divide those two things, so part of the story worked, part of it didn't. And then,
all right.
Saying that means the story didn't work. So.
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough one.
Well, it was sort of, I'm not sure why. I mean, there was another man who worked there that saw the mirrors and he had advice, maybe you shouldn't really look at the mirrors. Like, how is that guy how is he working there and not being affected by this?
Well,
I thought something was going to happen with him.
I can tell you I can't tell you how that works. I can tell you my understanding and my rationalization of that.
Okay.
As far as spirit possession and stuff go, just generally, whatever. I'm not a parapsychologist, but...
You're not?
Well, not in my spare time, I guess, but whatever. Anyhow, people that are weakened, that are drinking, that there's drug abuse, that there's mental instability,
Yes.
I think are more susceptible to possession, whether that be a real or imagined.
Okay.
So I think that some people...
So you think... I almost called him Jack. See, now I'm doing it. It's not Jack Bauer. And say, so you think Jack was... he wasn't at his best? He was...
Exactly, and therefore he was
beaten
susceptible.
down. He had a lot of worries and anxiety already.
And that's why he was susceptible. The guard that was there before then, that killed himself early in the movie, I think he's the same thing. I think he spent nights in there and allowed the mirrors to get a hold over him, and I think that happens in most horror movies if you go back. And
this old dude was just like, oh yeah, I wouldn't really look at the mirrors too much.
And he was creeped out enough not to really go in there. He admitted that he only did his rounds a couple of times, and I think... He
didn't like night shift.
Yeah, and I think that, from the ghost stories I've heard... What's that?
So yeah, I guess I wanted more with that. More.
Yeah, had there been more along that line, I think that would have been good. And the stories that I've heard are the things that we've watched, and it generally is not everybody's abusing drugs or drinking and stuff that has horror stories, or ghost stories. But a lot of times there are mental stresses that people are suffering that either open them up to the experience or whatever. I don't know.
Well, here's something. Once he started hearing things and thinking he was maybe seeing things, he was seeking it out. He went looking for it.
That's true, too.
What's making that sound? What is this all about? What's with the mirrors? He had his face up there. He was running his hand along him. He was looking at him. He showed great interest, so maybe that's why it was presented more to him.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's why the other guy, because like I said, I did like that as far as the story went, that, his boss that was telling him that, I don't like it in here at night, and I'm kind of creeped out, and he didn't sound like he necessarily had any supernatural experiences, but he wasn't open to them either.
Right.
Therefore, he wasn't going to have them, is what my thoughts were. But
okay, and just lastly, what did you think of, basically, you find out that this happens to multiple people, the man who worked before him, and then it was happening to, I was going to call him Jack again. Okay. What is his name in this? I can't remember now. Ben. Yeah. His name's Ben. Okay. What do you think about their families and friends being victimized and...
Yeah, okay, that I had a problem with as far as the story went. I liked it okay, but there wasn't enough of an explanation as to why it would branch out and be able to affect other people.
Okay, yeah, because that really bothered me, because I was thinking, okay, if I was somewhere and experienced this, and I came in contact with an entity that was in a mirror, and it was now... it's attached to me and it's going to keep haunting me until I do something for it, I would think it would be showing up more like, if it's
with you, I think it would be attached with you.
It's going to go to my family's house.
It would seek them out and find, that
bothered me. So I thought the story was going to have more to it. It was going to be bigger. I wanted to know why it was or how it was these things were things or thing, which I still don't understand. If there was, I don't know. I don't think it didn't explain enough either as far as, it made it sound like it was one thing and then it was multiple things and I don't know, whatever.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, well, I was going to say we should wrap this up because we're going on way too long about a movie we didn't like. But it's interesting because it's like all the things that are around the story that are, to me, are great to talk about and are interesting. Yeah. They weren't in this movie. And so. Right. Yeah.
That's what we're sitting here trying to rewrite it.
Yeah.
I want answers.
Yeah.
But I was really annoyed that these things were coming up at his wife and children's house.
Yeah, and that's, I liked it. I would have liked to have seen, I would have liked an explanation for it.
Yeah.
And I did like, I won't say that, it's hard for me to say I like that it happened,
it made it interesting, but I wanted then an explanation for it. But I mean, that's it. We want explanations for everything. We just don't always get that.
That's right.
But
we're too demanding.
I guess that's it.
Our problem.
And that's what I meant about maybe somebody for less sophisticated viewer.
Yes.
And sophisticated strictly in the sense of wanting, things fleshed out. But you know what I mean. I don't mean as an insult.
No, I know the people you're talking about.
Yeah. And
I go back to this because it's perfect. But again, when I went to the pre-screening of Halloween H2O and got asked to stay behind and talk about it with a group. And that was the day that I learned that people don't care about stories.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Because I had a woman just shut me up because she was like, this was an awesome movie. It was scary. All those people died.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I wanted to know what was going on with the story. And people don't, I was like, wow, you know what? Moviegoers in general really don't care.
Yeah.
This woman, she didn't care about any of the stories that led up to it. She didn't care about Michael Myers. She didn't care about his family or the Druid curse or anything else. All the things that I cared about.
Yeah.
This woman was like, no, that's not what movies are for. I sat here and I ate my popcorn and I jumped 5 times and all those people died. Those were some good deaths.
And that was enough for...
They got stabbed with I'm like, wow, that's all people care about.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. Not us. Not the people who listen to our podcast.
Yeah. So, we're all looking for something different, and the things that I was looking for. Man, good luck editing all this.
That's going to be a pain in the butt, man.
I could talk for 5 more hours about this.
Well, that's the most interesting
part. I want to rewrite it.
There's so many other good possibilities of what this movie could have been, and there's so many things that I think could have been interesting that the movie just didn't touch on.
Yeah, I would have, you know what, and Amy Smart would play a bigger part. His family, because she was a sister.
Yeah.
She would absolutely play a bigger part.
Why introduce her if you weren't going to use her more, basically?
Yeah. They introduced her. She got to just say a few lines and then
be there for support, show that he needed somebody, and then it goes to isolate him.
Yeah, and then
which goes towards what I'm thinking of as people that often find themselves in situations of this nature. They are isolated one way or another, and their support system is cut off from them through either their drinking or their drugs or their mental problems, and that's what I think comes up in what the movie was going for, but I don't think it was.
Well, yeah, because he was looking for his wife for support and was trying to tell her about it, and she was like, "You've lost your mind."
Yeah.
So she was like, you're nuts, and you need to leave my house.
Yeah.
Obviously you're still drinking, so she was just brushing it off as his alcoholism and his the stress trauma he'd been through.
Right.
And, and the sister, the sister genuinely wanted to listen, and at that one point he freaks out and screams at her to get out of the bathroom and stuff. Granted, he was hallucinating.
Yeah.
But he was kind of unlikable in that way. That was kind of the first impression I got. He was sort of unlikable. And I love Amy Smart, so I'm like, God dang, dude, stop yelling at her. She genuinely cared and wanted to help him, and he was just like, get out of the bathroom.
Yeah, I get that. And
she was scared.
That was okay for me as far as the story went, but like I said, it just went the wrong direction, or it just didn't carry through for me and stuff. And that's too bad. But can you get together things for the witch children, or the information on the charity and stuff?
Yes, I can.
Okay. In a second, I'm going to be ready to pick it up with a garbage in, garbage out.
Okay.
Are you ready to go?
I think so.
And I mean, you're talking about how dangerous that is and stuff. You see somebody threatening to kill children with a machete,
Yeah.
Just saying he was going to go back after. And there's actually one guy in there, not a witch doctor. Here's the problem. They've become or have taken, I'm going to screw up
it's
Pentecostal, and they've taken these teachings in, what would you say, a maladopted way is what you'd say.
Well, it's a funny thing happens when Yeah, when Europeans go into an area like this and try to colonize and try to take religion and minister to the people, interesting things happen because a lot of the time they usually listen and they will pick up some of the gospel from the missionaries, but what they usually do is they integrate it into what they already have.
Yeah.
So you get these
that
syncretic,
some bad.
Yes, you get these syncretic religions that some of the local people down there, they call it just ridiculous. You know, they don't all believe it. You know, and there are some people who live there who are trying to stop this, and they're like, this is just so ludicrous because it doesn't even make sense. But unfortunately, in the documentary, you learn that this region, it's a state down there, and I can't think of what it's called now, but it's on the website.
What I was going to say is I'm not sure exactly what he calls himself, but he claimed to have killed 110 children.
Yeah, he was a bishop. And
yeah, I hate to even use that term just because.
Well,
that's what he called himself, though. So,
yeah.
While he recanted later in the video, because of course he was picked up, but it's amazing that the officials didn't know or seemed unaware of this problem until it was brought to their attention. And there's all kinds of problems, I guess, that are like that throughout the world. So that's
it's kind of a small area. It's very populated. There's a ton of people living there. It's a mixture as far as I can tell from looking at the documentary. There's, paved streets and everything. People drive cars, but then there's, the outskirts, the country, the poor, and that's where a lot of the problems take place. But this whole area, city included, according to the documentary, they have more churches per square mile than anywhere else in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
And they call them Pentecostal churches, but they're, of course, this amalgam of all this different stuff.
Right.
And they teach from the Bible, but they teach from so many other things as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think they're calling them pastors, pastors and ministers, and the one man was a bishop, and they're saying they're Christian. It's a Christian religion. But it's unfortunately in the middle of services, and I don't know. It's so interesting and awful. I don't know why they've targeted the children, like where it all started or who did it first, but it's catching like a disease now. And the pastors will target a family and target a child in their family, and in front of the whole congregation with everybody there listening, will call them out and say that they're possessed, they're a witch, and that they're making people sick, and that they're going to make the whole, church fall apart, and the whole congregation will, fall apart, and they're poisoning the food, and so everybody hears it.
And
so
unfortunately,
now you've got the pressure. If that's your family and that's your child, most of these people they believe it, and they're ready to take their child home, and they burn them.
Right.
They set them in the fires. They burn them with acid. They beat them. They starve them. A lot of the children die. Yeah. The families are willing to do that.
Well, thanks for taking the time to listen to this supplemental podcast. I don't know whether it was worth it or not, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, let us know. If you didn't and it's silly and redundant, let us know that too. In the meantime, thanks for listening. Wow, 96. And we'll be back next week with number 97. But as always, you can get in contact with us directly by emailing me at madsaxon, that's with 2 X's, MADSAXXON @yahoo.com. Look us up on Facebook. Just punch in Vicis Interimo, VICISINTERIMO. Or just friend me, S. Michael Jones. Thanks for listening.
I've been waiting for something to happen for a week or a month or a year, with the blood and the ink of the headlines and sound of the crowd in my ear. You might ask what it takes to remember when you know that you've seen it before, where a government lies to a people and a country is drifting to war. And there's a shadow on the faces of the men who send their guns to the wars that are fought in places where the business interest runs. On the radio, talk shows, or TV, you hear one thing again and again, how the USA stands for freedom